Let's welcome our panelists. Today we have Mr. Anish Andharia, CEO of Wildlife Conservation Trust, who
helped set up Kids for Tigers, which was a path-breaking conservation education program which touched nearly 250,000 children every year for 15 years. That's like really great. Wow, sir, that's really fantastic. And he's also a wildlife biologist and a conservationist, member of many renowned organizations. He's a person, our go-to person, and he's of course a professional nature and wildlife photographer of repute, and last but not the least, he loves to introduce people to the joy of nature and the rationale of nature conservation. So welcome, sir. We are indeed very proud to have you with us today. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Pleasure is all mine.
Yes. So second, I like to introduce Akanksha. Akanksha is a founder director of Waxfall Hotels and Resorts. She runs 4 properties which are based on ecotourism. She's also a committee member of ATOI and also a chapter advisor and on many panels. And more than anything else, she commits herself strongly to the responsible tourism practice. So welcome, Akanksha, to be with us. And I'm also very proud to have our little buddy friends, I would call them, with us. So first and foremost, I like to welcome Jay Sharma. He's been a Toft supporter for past 1.5 years with us. He's read some 200 books on wildlife animals. He's a knowledge store of all the characteristics of animals, and he really wants to work on poaching. He's a class 9 student studying with Shiv Nadar School. So welcome, Jay, with us. Welcome to have you, Jay. Second, we have Saina Malhotra. Saina is a very strong, disciplined girl who has exceptional debating skills, and who's also been a head girl for her junior high school. She's in class 7 of Sri Ram School. So welcome, Saina. Uh, and last but the least, we are so very proud to have Kavir Devan with us. He's a Toft supporter as well. He's very passionate about wildlife, and is from class 5, and he's from
Oh
school.
my God.
Yeah, he's from school Kunz Caps Colon, Gurgaon. So welcome, everyone. I like this
Welcome,
mix
everyone.
of the
Welcome.
elderly and the kids. I think it makes like just the perfect mix. And we've also joined with Deepika. Deepika, can we have you online as well?
Yes.
Deepika is a director, TOFTigers. She's a great guiding force for Toft, and she also wears a lots of other hats in organizations. She runs an own marketing company as well, does fantastic trade shows. So welcome, Deepika,
Thank you.
to the session as well.
Good. Welcome,
So
everyone.
yes, so thank you so very much. So we are celebrating once again, I say, the World Environment Day, which is celebrated annually on 5th of June. And this is actually the time, to redetermine our commitment to the environment. So it's actually a time to raise awareness and action for the protection of the environment. Unfortunately, we all know that the current situation of a Mother Earth is not too good. I mean, that's really sad. Mankind, in its greed and in its abundance, has created a world full of problems, whether it's marine pollution or overpopulation, global warming, or wildlife crime. These are just some, to name a few of things, but they are badly impacting the climate, the resources which the earth has. So Anish sir, you've been in the field of conservation, and I'm sure in so many years of your experience, you have actually seen a downward graph. Can you explain us the damage which has been done to our environment and biodiversity? You're muted, sir.
First of all, I welcome Saina, Jay, and Kavir, and it is a pleasure to be part of this discussion where you have the next gen who are going to take center stage, and you have a lot of responsibility, my friends. We have already disturbed your planet, we have destabilized it, and now put the responsibility of resurrecting it on you. But don't worry, we will be there to guide you, not to worsen the situation, but probably guide you in the right direction, hopefully. So yes, Ritu, this year's uh, today, basically, we are celebrating. It's a very important day, and the focus is land restoration, desertification, and drought resilience. So this, why are we doing this? Because over the last 3 or 4 centuries, human beings have taken charge of this planet. When I say taken charge, it doesn't mean that we can control the planet. We feel in our heads that we are in charge, but we have no control on so many things. We don't have any control on precipitation. We don't have control on the solar rays that are hitting the planet. We don't have control on tsunamis. We don't have control on the moon, right? But we feel it's a wrong notion in our heads, but that is detrimental to this planet. This is the only planet where you have life. So there are many reasons why land restoration has become the focus. So let's start by talking about the main issues. The main issue is ecosystem degradation. Ecosystem meaning forests, seas, rivers, deserts. You go anywhere on this earth, and you go to a grassland, those are degraded. You go to the forest, of course, there is a lot of deforestation. Because of degradation of ecosystems, there is biodiversity loss. What is biodiversity loss? Loss of different types of species. To understand biodiversity, let us just understand some figures. So as of now, we know that there are 1.5 million species that have been recognized on this planet. 1.5, which is 15 lakh species have been identified on this planet. However, ecologists, people who have been studying wildlife and biodiversity, predict that there could be as many as 9 million species on this planet. So although we have only identified 1.5, but there could be 9 million species, because most of those species live in the depths of the ocean, inside the soil. So we don't know so many. Every year, when a submarine goes down and samples the water, they find more than, when you go to great depths, pretty much every species that is caught in the net is new to science. So based on all that, they predict that there could be 9 million species. So there is huge diversity on this planet, and the ecosystem is degrading. Ecosystem at all levels is degrading. What is happening, therefore, is the extinction of these species have started. And the background extinction rate, Ritu, is just 1 to 5 species a year. That is the background extinction rate on this planet. So extinction happens even before human beings lay their foot on this planet. So extinction is a norm. However, the rate of extinction is just 1 to 5 species a year. What we are seeing now is unprecedented, because we are seeing extinction rates which are 1,000 to 10,000 times higher than the background extinction rates. So when ecosystems fail, biodiversity goes down, species get extinct, and that, all of it together, and the carbon dioxide that we are pumping in the atmosphere, is increasing the temperatures, the mean temperatures on this planet, which is called global warming. Climate change, as we understand it much better now, is a reality. And what does climate change do? As you know now, Delhi, and you guys, some of you all are sitting in Delhi, the temperatures of Delhi crossed 52 degrees Celsius. And there are so many places in Nagpur, central India. I was in Madhya Pradesh, in Panna Tiger Reserve. The temperatures were so high that at 10 o'clock in the morning, you could die of a sunstroke. And so this is all because of climate change. Climate change is causing erratic behavior of weather, which means there could be, in areas that you have good rainfall, it will rain so heavily that there'll be floods. In the drier habitats, it will get drier. So dry habitats get drier, wet habitats get wetter. The average rainfall on this planet will not change. But where it falls and how much has changed a lot because of climate change. And that is putting extra pressure on the biodiversity. So ecosystem degradation is and carbon dioxide emissions and greenhouse gas emissions is causing the climate change, and that again is having an impact on biodiversity. So these are the main reasons why humans are grappling today, and conservationists are screaming on top of their voices to stop degradation, reduce urbanization. See, urbanization is also a very big reason why environment is getting damaged. A lot of these second tier, third tier towns are becoming big. Big roads are being made. They are connecting large cities like Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore with smaller towns. As a result, the business opportunities in these smaller towns is going up and urban spaces are growing. And if you go to Gurgaon, you will have skyscrapers, you will have glass facades on the building, and the temperatures there are like pressure cooker because the sunlight hits the glass facade, reflects back, and on the road you have the sunlight direct and you have a reflected light. So on those roads you can actually get incinerated. So these are some of the main reasons. And mind you, Jay and Sana, we talk of renewable energy. I'm sure you have a few points to talk about, but the renewable energy comes from either solar or wind. There is geothermal as well. But so you have turbines, the windmills and solar panels. So in so many countries, to generate solar power, they have had to build large solar power plants. And that needs a lot of space. And in some areas, it has actually been made by cutting trees so that that large surface is available to capture sunlight. So renewable energy installations is also causing huge damage on the environment. And finally, as I said, linear infrastructure, roads, railways, canals, and power lines. These are crisscrossing our ecosystems and they are fragmenting it further, increasing the vulnerability of those species. So this is, Ritu, the crux of the main. This is also why people have realized that the environment needs to be center stage. And we just have had elections in our country. And I hope that the ruling party takes the suggestions of Jay, Steiner, and Kavir, and so many other young people on board. Unless you listen to the next generation, we will not be able to solve this problem because we are pretty much done and dusted. This is their future, and we have to be very, very conscious about that.
I think the intensity, is not understood by most people. Everybody's so consumed with their everyday living that the intensity of the situation, like you probably explained it. I knew we are in a bad situation, but thinking that the rate of extinction has gone so high, it's mind-boggling and it scares you, really scares you.
And also, Ritu, think that we only know of 1.5 million species, but there could be 9 million. So we don't even know how many species we are losing even before they are identified. And so that's very scary. And you understand the web of life. Every species, you are connected to the ant is connected to the spider is connected to the elephant is connected to the grass blade. Any species goes, it has a cascading effect on something else. But we don't know those species, so we don't know how many negative cascading effects we have been responsible for. So finally, we may be faced with problems, but we'll have no solutions because we started the problem maybe 100 years ago. So you can't go back in time and correct it. So the best way to do it is through a precautionary principle, which means if you don't know anything, don't disturb it. So but I think I want to listen to the next gen here.
Yes, Jay, you wanted to say something. Yes.
Yeah, like I am also really, really terrified about the rate of extinction. I fear like we're losing so many species. Just yesterday, I read a story on some extinction of a frog species, and these frogs, they're also like all of these. Like Anish sir said that they're all connected. The elephant is connected to the spider to the ant. So I'm really terrified for the environment, and I don't know what to do. But like sometimes I get ideas trying to spread awareness, which is basically the main point for me in my life. My mission is to spread awareness, to tell people why these species are important. And even if they don't care for the species, how is the species death going to affect them? So yeah, how can we save ourselves and the species of Ankshana?
Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and
Yeah.
I'm very happy to have the young crusaders with us. You have to help us save the planet Earth. That's the next mission. Um, I like what Anish said, and I would like to add some more points to it. He mentioned about deforestation, and so on. Today, we can actually see the effects of global warming and the Earth's degradation, which is very evident with the floods that recently happened in Dubai. And if you look at the glaciers, they're really receding. If you look at, in Google, you have something called the time lapse, right? So if all of you children go and have a look at that and look at the last 10 years, I think that's a good enough data period, you will see the glaciers have receded at least 20, 30 kilometers. And what is happening now is that the land that was frozen, which had permafrost, I don't know if all of you studied about it right now, that means the ground which was frozen, there was carbon emission from decomposition of plants and animals that was trapped there, is now being released into the atmosphere. And with that, what is happening is the temperature of the earth is further increasing. So this is a really, really difficult time. So, what can we really do? Like you just asked, Jay, what can we do? We can really start by foresting. A lot of played areas, if you look at the Google map again, and you look at the satellite view, you will see a lot of land has been used for farming. And if you look at when you were in younger classes, you must have studied about, the crop rotation, that you used to have a summer crop, in the summer month, a winter crop, a rafi crop. In the summer months, there was no crop. And then again, in the monsoon, the crop was being planted. So it helped the earth to heal and to gain nutrients. And of course, the husk was left to decompose and become compost at that time, which today, of course, nobody's leaving that land alone. So what is happening is that land is becoming barren as well. So it's very important that we encourage, educate people about what the cycle of the crop is. It is very important that we go into organic farming. That means we stop using too many chemicals for getting the right perfect banana, the right mango, the right shape, the round tomato, the very red tomato. So if you go to the market, you'll see that there's something known as a desi tomato. That should be given more precedence than the typical red colored tomato from the market. Anything which is coming outside 100, 200 kilometer within the city, for the city, because we don't really have farmlands within the cities, all coming from outside. We should encourage eating food that is within 100, 200 kilometers, not getting something from New Zealand, from America, from China, because that is also leading to a lot of carbon emission. And the only way to stop it is by us saying no, by at least 1 or 2 or 3 cycles of that crop that is being sent to our country getting wasted and rotting. Because if we say no, it will not make monetary sense. And then people will start sending this across. Another thing is, since you are the next generation, we can also start telling our parents that please buy crops that do not harm the soil. For example, like rice and certain varieties of pulses, they take up a lot of water and they're grown in the wrong time. Even chicken, if you notice now, they are being fattened by giving them chemicals. So the timeline which a regular chicken used to take, say, 35 to 40 days is getting ready in 28 days. You're creating more food for it, you're giving it more hormones, and that is also affecting us. You will see our healthcare is also going down, and I need to go to the hospital is also increasing. And all of this is related to the environment. Um, so for and another thing that we can also do is encourage houses to be made in greener spaces. Whenever we are going and buying a house, we tell our mama papas that please, if we can buy places where there are a lot of greens around. If there's not, make a program that if there is a land area which is completely barren, not only plant the seed, but look after the seed. We should look after it, because planting a tree will not really make a difference. It needs, depending on the type of plant it needs a couple of years to grow. And that's what we really need to do right now.
I think there are too many wrongs, and it seems so overwhelming. as to what all we, do we can do. And especially for the younger generation, we say now we've given you this word, now you correct it. I mean, my gosh, Anish sir, is there a guideline or something which we can, kind of put forward, or is there something we should actually have some kind of a document or something to say that, this is I know, I know Modi government has taken out that, life, time, challenge for life, and, all those action points have been taken out. But how can we really incorporate? I mean, it's very overwhelming, actually speaking.
No, yes, it's true. But I think it's all about your own conscience. And people living in different stratas, big cities will have a different conscience. In a second tier town or a village or very remote villages right inside the jungle. Mostly, we urbanites go and teach the villagers how to live and what is not right, why are they destroying or killing animals or whatever. But actually, the biggest lessons we have to learn, because we are the ones who are consuming. So I think all these children who are here, they know that consumption, our consumerism is the main reason why things are going. That's because for anything you make, you need water. For anything you make, you need raw material. The raw material will impinge upon some natural ecosystem. So it is about choices. So I always tell people that to fight this battle, which is caused because of millions of people, and every individual is now having to fight it. It's very difficult because you say that this problem is too big to handle. So I think we should start individually by making the right choices. And to make the right choice, your knowledge has to be good. And so that's where the role of Saina or Kavir or Jai will come, because their knowledge today, they are like sponges. They are absorbing a lot of information in school. They are going online. Now there is so much information available. Their parents are guiding them. And so with that knowledge, they have to actually start making those choices or urging their parents to make the right choice. So for instance, a simple thing like food. So we all love to eat Japanese food. People go on to have sushis. But do you know that a lot of these are actually imported? A lot of the fish, that salmon that you have, salmon, which is sold at very high rates, these are all imported from North America, Alaska, and those areas. So when you, with what fish to eat, so there is a timetable now, and there's an organization that puts out those timetables which says that this season, stay away from this fish. So don't order these fish because they are breeding during this time. They're spawning during this time. So be conscious and learn. Once you learn, then your parents would want to give you a great life. But if you tell them that, Mom, I'm grateful that you are taking care of me, but please let's make these choices as family. It's very easy for Anish and Deria to go and talk to any parent. It's almost impossible to convince them.
Yeah.
But if their own children, say that, okay, we don't want to do this, and not in a morchabaji way, and never look down upon people who do it. So the best way is to make the right choice and then teach people through example, rather than saying, see, I don't eat sushi, but you eat, I really disrespect you. No, that's not the way you will popularize this. The best way to do it is to make those choices and ask people to join you in it, not look down upon anybody. So I think psychology will also play a big role. How you talk about environment to people will actually determine whether they will come on board or they will stay away from it.
Yes.
Sorry, Saina, go on.
Yes.
Both the creation and the recycling of plastic produces toxic gases and residues which causes air and water pollution. Like about 86% of sea turtles, 44% of seabirds, and 43% of marine mammals are drastically affected by marine debris, that is plastic. In 2022, newspapers claimed that the Indian government banned 19 selected single-use plastics, including cutlery, straws, sticks, thermocol, carry bags, and banners, while a lot more were still in circulation. Furthermore, these 19 banned plastics are still being used by the general public of India. How can we enforce this ban?
So, Saina, the governments will make laws, okay, and things would be, put in place. But who are the people who will put it in action? It's we, right? So we have to, like Anish sir just said, and Akanksha also said, it is we have to decide. I mean, these laws have been made. I know there are some people who are not literate, are not aware, but a lot of them are aware also. But it is just a matter of convenience. They save money onto it. But it all comes down to an individual inner being's perspective and the attitude they have. Like for me, what is very important is that I have made certain principles in my life, that whatever it may be, if I'm feeling thirsty, I will not have a water from a plastic bottle. I will go thirsty, but so when I'm going out, I will carry a bag and I will not take a plastic bag. Or things, or when if I brush, I will brush with a bamboo brush and not a plastic. So the thing is, we have to find alternatives to things there are. If there are no alternatives, then we have to invent. Your generation has to do those inventions. And so it is all about bringing that awareness. It is doing innovation and finding alternatives or changing our lifestyles. So it is only, we all know it's not good, but when we are going out, we forget. Then we say, "Acha, right now I forgot, so let me just take this and I'll see later." But this is the way that the laws will come into effect when we rise as individuals. Anish sir, Akanksha, anything you feel you would like to add to it, please feel free.
Akanksha, you are muted.
Akanksha.
Can you please can you please tell us what the other kinds of waste are, and can we make a list and share it with other students?
Okay. Oh, waste. See, first of all, let me tell you, if you go to a jungle, have you been to a jungle, any of you?
Yeah.
Have you seen waste there? Can you tell me
Yes.
one thing in the jungle that you can uh, categorize as waste? In jungle where there are no humans, just the pure forest. So if a dry leaf falls, do you think it's a waste in the jungle, or it is nutrient for the seeds? So there is nothing in nature goes waste. You go to the ocean, any animal that dies is eaten by something else. The excreta of the animal goes down and forms the sediment, that there are microbes in it. In nature, everything in nature is recycled. So first of all, the biggest teacher is nature. You have to look towards nature to understand. But in the human side, on the human cities, in the places, the urban centers, or even in the villages, we produce a lot of waste. Any product we make it for a particular use, and we are only concerned about that product till it is in use. We don't think that one day when this product has lived its life, what is going to happen to the product. So in the future, innovations and the people who are innovating will have to keep that in mind, that everything that they make should eventually disintegrate back into the soil. So if we control the raw materials that we use for making something, and if we know that once it lives its life cycle, it should be able to go back into the soil. If that becomes the guiding principle, then you will reduce waste. So everything, like a chair, you have to make a chair in a way, because we make plastic chairs, and then what happens to the plastic chair after it breaks or it starts bending, it becomes soft, we throw it. Eventually all the plastic that you are using, either inadvertently, without knowledge, or because you're forced, because the system is such that you cannot stay away from it. So anything you buy, it comes wrapped in a plastic. Or if you go and ask your people at home, when they go and buy mangoes, if you buy 6 mangoes, the vendor will give you in a plastic bag. The worst is the plastic that is being used in villages. In villages, people obviously there are a lot of poor people. They cannot buy and stock things for the year, so they buy things on a daily basis. So all these small things that you buy, they will give you in different plastic bags. So much so that now these fast food centers have started giving food in plastic everywhere. And this is not just in India, but you go to Singapore, you go to any place outside the country, especially Southeast Asia, everything is packed in plastic. So the plastic waste is the biggest threat, and we have to stay away. There are alternatives to it. There are starch plastics which get disintegrated. It is costly, but we will have to spend that extra money if we want to live on this planet a little longer. Then there is sewage, lot of waste that obviously our waste product, our body waste are getting into the ocean. They are recycled in some cities, but most smaller towns, there is nothing like sewage treatment. So their sewage treatment is very important and has to happen because the biological load in the water goes up. It causes eutrophication. Eutrophication is too much of algal growth, which will remove all the oxygen from the water. As a result, all life in that water will die. So eutrophication caused because of human sewage is a big waste, and it is detrimental to biodiversity in the rivers and in the lakes. Then there is industry effluent. We all use, we are wearing clothes, we dye, all our clothes are colored. There are so many things that we use. Industry, dyes, drugs, everything. There is huge amount of chemical waste that is going. There is a norm. It's that as per the environment law, all of it has to be treated. But a lot of industries, small and big, are violating rules, and that is a huge amount of waste. Most of them clandestinely put it in bore wells into the earth, so nobody knows. But there are bore wells. They pump all that chemical inside our planet, and as a result, the groundwater is getting contaminated. And remember that most of the groundwater that is existing today is more than 1 million years old. So once you pollute that water, it stays polluted all through, and eventually people are going to extract it because there is no river. The rivers are drying by the summer or late winter. That water will then have all those chemicals, and that is why more cancers, skin disease, a lot of other issues, bone issues, and all that are popping up in such industrial belts. And then finally, you have solid waste coming out from the house. Or everything that we use, eventually we throw in the garbage can. We may segregate it. We may put the vegetable waste on one side, but that solid waste that we generate is going into landfills, and those landfills are hub for disease. They require so much land. They're causing huge amount of pollution, air pollution, water pollution, and that solid waste management is a big issue. In fact, some of the countries in the West are collecting their waste and selling it to third world countries so that they can be dumped on their land. So they don't want to pollute their own countries, so they are sending chemicals, they're sending solid waste into other countries who buy them from them, and basically they earn money, but they are dumping it in their own seas, in their own waters, and that's going to be extremely dangerous for the next generation. So plus one more and two more things that you kids need to understand. Toothbrush everybody uses is a big pollutant. Slippers, which are made of rubber, and research has shown that there are islands which are as big as Sri Lanka caused because of floating slippers in the sea. So every human being has a slipper. You may not have a Louis Vuitton shoe or whatever you call it, but you will definitely have a slipper. And some of them, when once you use the slipper for a couple of years, you throw it off. All of it is going into the ocean. And so these simple things that we use on a daily basis are causing pollution. So when you make the choice, when you go and buy these things, you have to think what will happen after. When you buy anything, ask yourself, what will happen when I've used it? If the answer is that it's going to create a lot of pollution, biodegradable. It's not easy, because once you start doing it, and the most important thing is to talk about it, and not in a preachy way, because we want that dialogue to happen. Once that dialogue happens, industry will be forced to change. Currently, because people are buying, the manufacturers are getting a lot of profit, so they are making all these things. So unless we start talking about it, and there is a huge amount of discussion on it, uh, these things will not stop, because the market forces will manufacture what is running. So you have to slowly reduce this buying of all those things which are going to pollute this environment.
So yeah, Anish sir, so that means one needs to be very aware that whatever you're buying, I think that's a very good strategy to have, to that whatever you're buying, where would eventually it will go to. But one needs to be aware as to what are those things. So I think what is important is, like, I think probably with the student body, we can create a list of those things and create awareness around it. That's something we can take up with our Toft supporters, and we could think about doing that. Yeah.
Yes, and there should be information, and there is information now, but it's all scattered. So
Hmm.
somebody should compile it, and students can take that responsibility. And that those lists today with social media, you can always, send it to millions of people. So yeah,
Yeah.
this is how
Okay.
things will change.
So we've got one to-do list to do. Jay, you wanted to ask something.
Yeah, like now urbanization is a really big thing. Like urbanization is everywhere. New societies are cropping up every day. Like for the past 10 years, I must have heard 100 societies in Greater Noida. And I know that these are eating away at the green spaces. Like, because I see every day, I hear news on my society groups and all that snakes are being killed every day. Bulldozers are running over the snakes. The snakes are forced to run out and other animals eat them. It's playing havoc with our environment because, to the law of the food chain law states that every animal becomes food for the other. So now it's happening unnatural rate here. Snakes are dying and the eagles are taking way too much of the snakes. We first we used to have like 500 species of snakes in India around 20 years ago. Now we've come down to 300 species of India is snakes in India. So what can we do to like make urbanization a good thing, but it's not playing havoc with the creatures and the biodiversity all around?
Wow,
Okay,
it's a very, very difficult question to answer. But let me correct you here, Jay. We have around 305 species, and every year a few species get added because new species are discovered. Because of genetic study, also some species are split now into one, two, three. So there were never 500 species of snakes in India. There is hardly any extinction of snakes in the country. But their diversity has gone down, which means around the city you used to find different types of snakes. Now the arboreal snakes, which is snakes found on trees, like the vipers, the green wine snake, the bronzeback tree snake, the cat snake, those have slowly dwindled. What you find largely is the checkered keelback, the cobra, uh, the rat snake, the wolf snake. So their diversity or species richness has gone down. Urbanization is here to stay. In fact, the government says that in the next 20 years, 70% of Indians will be living in the cities. So I don't know if there is a easy solution, but the best way is to again, while buying properties, like Akanksha said, that you need to invest on green spaces, which means that you have to look for a place, and those you are willing to pay money only if they have a large green space within that. So if these are gated communities, there are a lot of gated societies everywhere in big cities. You have to look whether their environmental laws or norms have been followed, which means are they going to use at least some solar energy? What are they doing about the swimming pool? Are they, because swimming pools are also putting a lot of stress on the environment, because you are in a place like Noida or wherever, you imagine the heat. So the amount of water that gets evaporated from swimming pools is huge. There is no water otherwise. And so whether they have those, what are they doing about their green spaces? What are the number of trees? Are they having a good open space where there is some amount of greenery? What is the diversity there? So all that one will have to say. Otherwise, it is about town planning, and that happens at the level of the government. For instance, you should not buy a property which was built on a forested locality. You should not buy a property close to the ocean, because mostly those properties are built by destroying the mangroves. Or you should at least be 100 meters from the high tide line. People don't understand that there are going to be erratic weather conditions, and all these properties which you are going to buy by spending crores and crores of rupees, because everybody wants to be on the sea face, and I'm talking about Bombay and Chennai and all these coastal cities. We pay through our noses to buy those properties, but they are the first that will get impacted if there is a tsunami or if there is a cyclone. Those are the properties that are going to get depreciated. So we'll have to create a conscience in people, saying that don't, if it was a home of a wild animal, then you cannot be destroyed to make a home for humans. And a lot of us, so for instance, my building today, I'm sure, was built on a green space. So everything that human beings have done has destroyed nature. That we have to accept. Going forward, because of our understanding of the past, we have to be more conscious when we make those choices. But it's very difficult because it's about money. So amount of money, how close it is to your school, how close it is to your parents' working space, and all those are big decisions. But personally speaking, I don't think that urbanization is the solution to economic stability. I feel decentralization, and I feel that villages should be where they are, and they should get employment opportunities in those villages rather than forcing them to come to the city. And those people eventually live an existence of, it's worse than some of the pet dogs who are living in those skyscrapers. And you have the people who are working like laborers. They have no place to stay. They're living just below some flyover. There is no toilet for them. The water that they're drinking is highly polluted. So city life is not easy for people who migrate in. During COVID, there were millions of people who had to walk back to their cities, to their villages. So urbanization per se is a bane. It is not a solution. I feel that the government needs to, we have to put pressure on the government to decentralize power, so that there is electricity available to people through renewable sources, so that there can be industries which are nature friendly around wherever they are staying. That is the best way to reduce the pressure on the environment.
I would like to add something here, Anish. I think you've really touched on the right points, because if you look at India and the example of Bangalore, it was flooded. All the CEOs of Ola, Uber, everybody's house, and they were down. They had to be evacuated by boats. And Jay, Saina and Kavi, it was predominantly because they built on reclaimed land. The ponds. Bangalore used to be known as city of lakes, literally, right? Now there's not a single lake in the city because all of them have been filled up, land has been reclaimed, and buildings have come up. And like Anish mentioned, you should never construct in areas that are close to the sea, because as you can see, the glaciers are melting, the sea level is rising. Eventually, that 100-meter tide line is going to become a 200-meter tide line, right? And you can't really protect. And then you're like, oh my God, the water, the sea has come and destroyed our lives. So many people dead. It's just because you are not being conscious. You want a sea view house. You want to walk to the beach. You don't understand that nature has its own fury. There's a reason why the dinosaurs went extinct, and so will we. So, for just to ensure that doesn't happen, we are already too late, but we need to start making major changes in the way we live our lives. When we're talking about green building, for example, there's some very good rules, Anish, by the way, that's happened in Delhi. They've made generators, non-carbon emission generators compulsory in Gurgaon. So I think that's an initiative that should be made around the country. Along with that, sewage treatment plants should be installed. uh, Saina, Jay, Kavi, you should read more about this. These are plants where all the gray water and the black water, that means water from your toilets, that cannot be, that's not good for drinking right away. It needs to be treated. So there are methods of feeding which is very high energy consumption, but there are some plants which are anaerobic. Anaerobic means they create their own bacteria, and they also work on solar. You don't need to add any chemicals to convert it from black water to potable water. Right? So these kinds of practices should be adopted. Also, a lot of we should appeal, if the next generation is the force for tomorrow. Today, if you guys go and make a campaign and present to the Prime Minister that, sir, we don't know what India's greenery looks like. We don't know what plants we have. We're going to become like the UK. I'm sorry I'm saying this right now, but the United Kingdom doesn't have any wildlife. They all love to come to India, go to Africa because they just have species of birds. That's why they're mostly into burning. Whereas India and Africa is very rich in wildlife because of our history. We look at half the animals that god and goddesses, so we end up protecting them to a large extent. And today, all the communities that are living next to the forest have become very conscious of the wildlife for one particular reason, because they have a daily wage earning. So it's very important that we give to these communities, so they are your eyes and ears in the forest. They can stop poaching. That's what you mentioned earlier, Jay and Saina, that we want to stop poaching. We want our wildlife to thrive. That can also and will only happen if urbanization stays within a certain space. With the way our population is increasing, we are soon going to be entering Ranthambore, Bandipur, Kana, Pench national parks. Everybody wants a second home. I don't know if you know this, but in COVID, half of the population of Delhi and Bombay bought the second homes in Goa. There are people constructing 100-room, 200-room hotels in wildlife parks for what? For marriages. Is the national park a marriage destination? No. It's for wildlife enthusiasts. You don't need a dibba. You don't need a building coming up. Should be there is a law, by the way, which I would like to make all of you aware in national parks, at least in Madhya Pradesh, that only 5% of that total area can be used for construction. 5%. That means 95% is open to greenery, and it has to be left barren. You can't do concrete. Today, if you go to your buildings, you're driving into a driveway so your car doesn't get spoiled, right? And if you don't have a park area, even if it's raining, how are you recharging that water into the ground? You're not able to do that because there is no
Akanksha,
forest. So we need
sorry,
to encourage buildings.
Akanksha. So tell me, how
Yeah.
many properties in Madhya Pradesh would be following this rule of 95%? I mean, is it being followed? Is it being followed? Is
5%.
what I want to know.
5%.
5%.
5% will be 5%. Only the people who are part of TOFT and which you are aware of are following it. Most of the resorts, I will not name any right now, of course, not my place, not a government official, but there's a lot of flouting of rules. I know there's a swimming, there was a swimming, like what do you call a water park that was created in some of
Bandhavgarh.
the
Bandhavgarh
parks
also.
in Madhya Pradesh. I will not name who. Yeah.
No, we don't want you to do
Why
that.
do you need a water? Yeah. The water parks. There is no groundwater.
Yeah.
Creating water parks.
So can you, while you are saying this, can you also throw light that, we know tourism can be a great influencer where taking care of communities, where Anish sir talked about reverse migration and all, can be helpful. Tourism can help in all that. So
100%.
because those are the positive sides of the tourism, but tourism also plays a negative role because where the tourism is happening, the consumption increases. The consumption of resources increases. So how do properties, since you are you have properties, how do the properties, and while choosing, everybody loves to travel, we all love to travel, so while choosing our destinations for travel, what should be the criteria that one should be choosing to choose your destinations, and how can we really support the destinations in that way? I mean, it's again a lot of things in just one single sentence, but but a little bit of gyan,
it's a very difficult to answer. It's a very difficult to answer, Ritu, because it's more like a chicken and egg story. What comes first? We all try to make our destination sustainable, but a lot of people are not very passionate about wildlife. They're mostly passionate about making money. They don't care about the environment. What I've noticed over the last 20 years that I've been in this business, they will sell the room cheap. They will underpay their staff. They will not care about the community. They'll be like, oh, the villager is disturbing our guests. But they don't understand that we have migrated and gone into the forest, their home, their land. We have to be conscious of their community and way of life and their culture. If they are staying in a certain way, they need to be given the right amount of money to lead the right quality of life. There can be campaigns taken by hotels where they adopt, farms that are close to the boundary of national parks, and they can be used as hides or sit outs for our guests for, observing wildlife and birding. So that in case, like generally what happens is if you read about man-animal conflict, the main challenge is that the animal comes and destroys the crop, and then the villagers go and poison the animal. Why? Because the compensation value is not the same. So in
Yeah.
that case, we can do something like, of course, taking it on a contractual basis for a longer time and supporting the community. Second way is by employing and training the community. When we spoke about reverse migration, I think one of the best things that happened during the pandemic was reverse migration. Today, the kind of villagers, when I meet them, they are proper doctors. There are some nurses in the village who don't want to go back in the city. They feel like, okay, we've worked a lot of time over there. We want to give back to the community. But the next generation, they are not educated enough, or maybe they haven't got the right guidance, where they feel they need a smart mobile phone. Yeah, they want quick money. They don't know how to work for it. So I feel a skill program or a training program led by the forest department and the government for these specific areas is very important. And we should encourage development of handicraft and small scale industries, not large scale industries, which is very endemic to the region, specifically for like very fragile locations. And if you notice what we've had, Anish mentioned, because of the temperature rising, we are losing a lot of species. Anish, yes, I do agree, and I can see the difference. The last year we had certain species of birds coming to the Sundarbans. We missed them for 1 year, and now again we are hoping they come back this year. And but we don't know where they've gone. There's no tracking of the route being done. So, and it is going to affect the environment. I've seen that the honeybees are currently flying in from Nepal to Sundarbans, but the population of the bees has reduced. There are a lot of, container, uh, what is it called? Sorry, container
Apiculture.
box. Yeah, container bee,
Ah,
being
beekeeping.
used by, yeah, beekeeping. Sorry, the beekeeping being done by the locals, where traditionally they were going to the forest and finding natural honey and using it. So that change has been very drastic. So the hotels
And
can
that
actually
also that so those bees, na, even the
continue.
ones that are being kept in containers, they are of a different species altogether. There, some of them are not
Right.
native. So once you introduce them, they will have impact on the native species.
Oh, okay.
No, that is true. So that is just a small example. Another thing is, of course, how hotels can help. Coming back to your main question, Ritu, we can help by, of course, training and employing the locals and giving them a good quality of life locally, telling them to maintain their culture. Like we deal with big bone and mega tribes. We can tell them, okay, fine, you can improve your houses, quality of life, but maintain your structure of the house, because that is something very unique to the location. Don't go for air conditioning. Unfortunately, since we are living in the cities, there is no green cover. The environment is all concrete, like Anish mentioned earlier. The UV rays are reflecting from the glass buildings to the road, and from the road back into the building, and it's just like a cross. We're becoming a we're having a greenhouse effect, technically,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So to stop that, we need to ensure that we are not using these materials, or if we are, there should be a mud ground which takes in the reflection, or there's a lot of green cover. Actually, green cover solves 90% of your problem. And again, coming to the chicken and egg story, to put solar or to have green, Ritu, I will go for the green plant more than solar, if you ask me.
Yeah, true,
100%. Because
true.
that takes care of 90%. That takes care of your birds, that takes care of your rainfall, that takes care of your whole life cycle of an animal. You will have worms, you will have insects, birds, raptors, you know, carnivores, omnivores. It's brilliant. So we need to encourage this. Um, Also about talking about groundwater recharge, Ritu. children, we all talk about plastic, single-use plastic. We've just been talking about plastic bottle. But I really don't think that is the only kind of waste we need to talk about. When as a traveler, you're going to the rural areas or fragile places, you don't have a very concrete recycling plan in place. So carry reusable bottles. If you want to carry your cream, you want to carry a powder or anything you like, if you take it with you and bring it back to the city. Because the city structure definitely has better recycling plans. And if your building does not have waste segregation, maybe the first step can be to implement that. A 7-way waste segregation for the first step, and then following it by the 14th step waste segregation. Because educating the locals, the lower income group, for example, their maids and all, I think that's the real challenge because they come from the area where there was no waste. They used to eat in pattal. You know what a pattal is? Saina, do you know what the pattal is?
No.
Yeah, do you know what a pattal is?
Yes.
Do you know what a pattal is? Pattal.
Sounds like something
Yeah,
like a
on leaves.
Yeah.
Butters were made of leaves.
So
this-
earlier, leaves
this
without
is a
plastic.
generation. It's so this thing, that these, they've not seen it. So how would they know? Yeah, they've not seen it.
Yeah. So I'm just quickly I'll touch upon this. So back in the day, there were these, the plates were made out of leaves that had fallen from the trees, or if they were fresh, they were grown for this particular, creating a pattal. Pattal meant a plate made out of twigs and leaves. And after people ate in it, even if they threw it down on the ground, it used to decompose. Okay. Today, the pattal that you get is waterproof because it should not leak. So that's why they put a lining of plastic under the leaf and then they give it to you. So the leaf may decompose, but the plastic still remains. So instead of going for pattal or plastic or carrying anything, carry your steel plate, carry your steel box, carry your refillable water bottle. And the best thing today is you get these water bottles with filters, right? I won't take any brand names, but you get these water bottles with filters and you can put in potable water and it purifies and you can drink it anywhere and it's safe for you. So go for that. I think I'll
I know
overshoot
there's a
my
lot
time
list
here
to
with
it,
you.
but yeah.
Yeah.
So Saina is understanding for the first time what sustainable tourism is, Saina, right?
So I understand that sustainable tourism principles refer to the environmental, economic, and socio-cultural aspects of tourism development and the suitable balance that must be established between these three dimensions. So sustainable tourism should make optimal use of important environmental resources, maintaining essential ecological processes and helping to conserve natural heritage and biodiversity. This should be and is being implemented by many countries to reduce carbon footprints and help the environment. But how exactly do we harm the environment when we are traveling?
Anisa, would you like to answer that?
Oh, the first thing is what the mode of transport. So people love to go by flights, but now there are trains as well, which are very well connected. For instance, if you have to go to Ranthambore from Bombay, you can easily take a Rajdhani in the evening and reach there in the morning, and you'll be ready for the safari in the morning. So, if possible, if there are train connections, people should travel by train because planes means more pollution, plane means more fuel usage. Train is a mass transport. Obviously, that also needs fuel, but with electricity, it's less polluting than what a aeroplane is. So travel from end to end, it is about the kind of travel you do. Like Akanksha said, you keep buying plastic on the way, kurkures and lays. First of all, you should not have those because they are absolutely injurious to the health of young children. They are loaded with unhealthy sugars and salts, but those also are bad for the environment because all these plastic Tetra packs, everything that you buy. So when I've seen people going for a safari or for a trip to a jungle, but their 1 or 2 bags are completely loaded with all these.
Yeah.
And it's not the children, it's their parents who want their children to be happy. So this that they'll go for a shopping spree and buy all that. So that should be completely avoided because you end up throwing it in the jungle, not while you are on the safari, but you leave it behind. And most hotels in these areas actually burn it. So they will say we dispose it, but there is no disposal which is environment friendly. All of it is put in a pit. They put some leaves on it and they burn everything. So all plastic, Tetra packs, everything is burned, rubbers, everything. So that you should not do. You should carry your own bottles and you should refill this in the hotel. First of all, while you choose the hotel also, choosing a hotel is very important. Akanksha has touched so many things, so I'm not going to repeat any of those, but there are TOFT certified hotels. So TOFT, you have to understand what TOFT is. And there are hotels which have been certified by TOFT, which means that these are following certain environment friendly norms. What are those? It could be, say, no swimming pool, no air conditioner, recycling, solid waste management, no walls. So there is a permeable boundary, which means there could be some barbed wire, but it allows animal movement, and so therefore they don't impinge upon the corridor. Then there could be, they are animal friendly, therefore they will be open to birds, bees, and everything. There will be no plastic. The water that they are serving will not be in a plastic bottle. There will be glass bottles. There will be RO, so that water is safe, and they are obviously they have employed people who are locals, so that the economy of the cash flow in the local society is going up. And also the construction materials. Some of these hotels are built with material that they found on the location. So the bricks and everything is also made by the soil found there. It's not easy to do if you're building a 100-room hotel. But if you are going to follow the rule of 5% construction, then if you have a 2-acre plot, you can easily have 5 or 6 such huts for which all material can be taken from that land. So if there are such hotels, you should search for such properties. And even if they're expensive, they will not be expensive, first of all, because such people who build such things also understand that it's impossible for people. They want more people to get into that culture. So they will not be exorbitant. You should go and stay there. If they are booked, you should wait till they are free, because you need to promote these things. Even in your Facebook account, on your Instagram, if you go to such places, you have to talk about it and why you found that place to be very different from all the other hotels that you're living. All that we have to keep, because that is the only way people will understand that there is business sense in preserving the environment. Today, people feel that let's build as big a hotel as possible. Then we have shadi, we'll have band baja. Another big issue is, while you understand about the hotel, whether they're playing big music. So most of these hotels which are big, where you have 10, 20, 30 rooms, will obviously have an open area with music and everything. So they are polluting. I have seen some of the government properties, even the tourism department properties, abutting the forest core, and they are having a musical night out there. So you have to be very, very conscious. So this, while you travel, it is also not just the mode of transport, but what you buy along and where you go and stay. So that's the most important. Your lodging, boarding, all those things have to be planned properly. And today there are, because of the social media, there is a lot of information available. The easiest way is to look for top certified places, because they have already done the certification, which means they have checked them out. They will definitely be better than a majority of hotels which are found there. So that's the way you should choose. And if you do that, then your carbon footprint will be less. It will never be zero, but it will be much lesser than what it would have been if you didn't care about these things.
Yeah, thank you, Anish. So just to add, the TOF certified properties actually undergo 84 criteria to be certified to be what they are. So there is a very thorough check which happens, and all the properties work in a hand to hand with communities to give back to the destinations, and that's one of the basic purposes of building a sense of place, you finding a property and going over there, so that's important. Yeah.
Also,
Thank you so much,
Ritu, TOF, it says TOFTigers, but you also certify properties which are not around tiger reserves, right?
Yeah,
That
so
is also very important for people to know.
Yeah. So those are footprint properties. So they are also similar. They are footprint properties, and they have some 64 criteria. and the principles are same followed, but it doesn't, basically the wildlife aspect is kind of not put into that. So that's the only difference. But yes, we have two labels for certification, which we have. Yeah, that's right. Yes. Mm.
May I add something to that?
Yeah. Yes, Jeff.
Yes, Jay, of course.
I actually did go to one of the TOFTigers certified lodges. It was Jagir Manor from Dudhwa National Park.
Correct.
And it was like really nice. I could see the sustainability going on there. So I would really recommend going to the Amazon. I think TOFTigers book is available there. I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
we have a good wildlife travel guide which is there, which one can buy, and this year we are coming out with a new edition also. Yes. Yeah.
I actually wanted to ask you why I saw in the book that some places didn't have any lodges. Like in a few days, in 5 days or something, we're going to Ladakh. Me and Mama.
So we are not there. We are still a tiny organization, and we haven't covered all places, but our presence is there. I think in 23 parks we have our properties. Yes.
I
So
was so
we are waiting for you to grow up and help us quickly.
I will.
Yes.
Yeah, but Jay, when you go to Ladakh, try and stay in homestays. There are a lot of good homestays around Leh, in all these places where there are snow leopards, Rumbak, any place you go to Zanskar, there are homestays, because that's the best way, because the money will go directly to the community. Even the toilets are dry, which means they don't use water. So your footprint will be really low. Plus, you will be eating local, because that's very important. Everybody will go there and say that I want Red Bull and all that. That doesn't happen there. They'll make some lovely tea for you, 3-4 different varieties of tea. So it's amazing. So I think when you go to Ladakh, you should go and stay in homestays wherever you go, and there are enough and more homestays out there. Very good
And
quality.
food is delicious, by the way.
I think it starts with M. I'm forgetting the name. Miali village or something. We're staying in the homestay over there.
Okay, great.
Very good. Very good.
Great, absolutely.
Very
Yes.
good.
So do we are actually running out of time. So would you like to
So children and everybody today, my main question is to, of course, Jess, Saina, and Kabir. There are many ways that we can bring sustainability in our lives. Can all of you think of a way and give me one idea that we can do? Can we start with Jay, please?
Okay, like sustainability. I got to think of a good one here because I don't want to go with the traditional renewable systems because I think all of the people here, all of us in school, every other day we're hearing of this. So if we could we please I think go with the other participants? I want to think of a really original idea. I don't.
Okay, he wants time to think. Okay, Saina, maybe.
Sure, that's
Awesome, Jeff.
Margaret Mead said we won't have a society if we destroy the environment. So it is our responsibility to make sure the earth survives for our future generations. There is no planet B, so we are the ones who have started this massacre, and we must be the ones to end it. We should start with small actions because if more people start with small actions, it will eventually lead to huge changes. We should make meaningful purchases, like we shouldn't buy everything we see, and we should reduce, reuse, and recycle as many objects as we can. And we should move around responsibly. Like, for example, instead of using our own car wherever we go out, there are so many other options, like we can carpool, use the metro, cycle, or walk. And we should also fly less because air travel is the most harmful travel to the environment. Renewable energy, it can take up space, but it's clean and sometimes it is made in places which can be used for other things like farming. These things are important because we need to preserve our planet and like natural resources like water, which are steadily heading towards depletion. And also we need to protect the habitats of animals.
Wow, So
Well said.
are you gonna follow all of them, Saina, or some of them? You can start with some.
Gonna try.
Akanksha asked you to talk about one. You have spoken about so many that there is nothing
Yeah.
left now for others. But that's good.
No, there is. Kabir, let's hear you first.
You have to unmute
Unmute
yourself,
yourself.
Kabir.
We can ask companies to reduce their packaging. There is too much packaging in everything we buy. It is creating more waste for landfills around the world.
Okay, that's
Oh,
great.
that's very good. That's very thoughtful of you. Because you have just passed through that COVID phase, you have seen millions of these boxes coming to your home and your buildings. You know, there were racks built in a building, so people would store it for a couple of days when people were so scared of. So it was crazy to see how much of packaged material came. So I think, Kabir, your idea is very good. Fantastic.
Reduce online shopping.
No, but online shopping also,
I
see,
think I'll just
it's a good thing because a lot of people used to travel, go, and your air conditioners that are used in big malls and all that. So this is in a way good. Obviously, it's taken away jobs, but in terms of pollution, definitely it's low. But if the packaging improves, it will be of great help. Saina, you wanted to say something. Looks like you
Anish,
have an idea.
I have
Sorry, Saina. I thought Saina
Anish, I'll
wanted
just
to
like
say.
to say one thing. Our warehouse sizes.
Saina, yeah, your turn.
Saina, would you like to add something?
Yeah, mostly during COVID, there were inside one box, there were like at least 4 layers of paper and then 2 layers of bubble wrap. So 6 layers were being wasted for no reason.
Sorry, Akanksha, go on.
I was mentioning that, Anish, it's a very catch-22 situation again here. Because, the malls, of course, they're building a lot of malls, a lot of air conditioning, air coolers being used. But now the warehouse sizes are increasing, huh? They also need cooling. So that air conditioning is going there. I would actually prefer a method. Okay, fine, you do get home delivery done, but change the packaging like you mentioned. Just change it. Yeah.
So what I am going to apply now is what Anish sir said. Before I buy anything, I will see what is going to be the end result. Where will it reach? So I will consciously try to reduce what I buy and see the life cycle before I.
So one more thing that I do is, when I buy whatever, but whenever I go to the jungle, I carry many pairs of clothes, which I don't bring back. I give it away to people there. So, and in good condition, these are not all in torn situations. So you buy something, you want your wardrobe to look very slim.
Narrow.
You can't have too many things there. So give it to people who will use it and that they need it, and you give them good quality. Because if you give it to organization in the city, it'll end up going to some slum, something. You basically talking of reverse migration. You don't want to promote slums.
Yeah.
So
Right,
things
right.
like that. So
Yeah.
By the way,
anything. Yeah, Akanksha, go on.
Yeah. Say.
I would just like to say something. There's something which we are doing at our resorts, and these kids can actually practice this. We run 5 schools in the wilderness. So these are government-run schools. They are very basic. So we take good quality toys from the city, and we give it to the Anganwadi. And once it's like it's completely broken and all, we take it from there and we dispose it off at the city level itself. When the car is going to pick up from a major city. So that's one. Secondly, all the football shoes and everything, when you outgrow them, they can be given to young children over there to use and pass down generation, because these are good quality and they generally don't lose their life. And along with books, story books and all, which we are trying to sell and donate here and donate there, make a package, send it off to Carpench or one of the properties, you speak to Ritu, and they can donate it to the school over there. It will help some young minds learn about better, bigger things that are happening around the world.
Yeah, so maybe Saina, Jay, Kabir, you would like to, if you're interested and you would like to start this kind of a drive in your school, we can support you for that. Okay? You can think about it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
I've come with my sustainable point.
Okay. Yes. We are
Yes, Jay.
waiting, anxious to hear.
So one of them, I think sustainable would be cosmetics. It is one of the most untouched topics because cosmetics, I know they require lots of water. Like I think I'm not sure, I'm not very familiar with the types of cosmetics. You know, all these liquidy cosmetics and all, they require lots of water. And second of all, in this very point, cosmetics are also tested on animals. There is animal testing, and in some places like China, it is mandatory by law to do your testing on animals. So I think for sustainability, and there are options. Some brands do offer vegan cosmetics and all, which don't have any animal testing and they're cruelty free.
Yes.
So cosmetics is one of my points on how we can become more sustainable. Like I forced my mom to go to vegan cosmetics, and I have safely disposed of her old cosmetics. So
But were you successful?
we're looking for more and more brands. Like I think we've done two, Fab India and Arata. These are
Okay,
very
great.
good.
Amazing.
Also,
Also,
forest essentials. Forest essentials.
yeah,
Huh?
and
Forest
lot of
Essential is
chemicals
also
be
a
done.
brand.
Yeah.
You could look at.
Forest essentials.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
basically fragrances. But Jay, you touched a very important point. Everybody uses it.
Yes.
But if you are more conscious, and you're talking about water, but the biggest negative impact of cosmetics is on forests. Most of these cosmetics use what is called palm oil.
Yeah.
So there is oil palm plantations in Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, Borneo. Now it's also come into Africa. It's also being planted I was in Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka is a very green country, very small. The population is less than population of Bombay. However, I saw some green mountains and they looked very manicured. So when I used the binocular, I saw that it was palm oil, oil palm. So that is largely used in food industry and cosmetics. So I think you hit the nail on its head. But along with water, you should also talk about oil, because that would probably have a much greater impact, because most of our rainforests are in tropical countries, and those are the areas where this palm grows, the oil palm. And if we stop using cosmetics, nail polishes, not so much nail polish, but lipsticks and creams and stuff, they use this, you will save so many hectares of rainforests.
Yes, because in Indonesia, like when they burn palm oil to obtain it, they burn the plants and all, and that is actually severely affecting the population of orangutans among many other species. And now I think, so their ICUN status is endangered or vulnerable. One of the two.
Yeah, yeah.
Correct. You're
They're
right.
critically endangered, actually.
Oh, the status must have changed.
Well, it's a whole habitat loss for them, now.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, so I think it's
so
been a
that's the same thing is
fantastic.
happening in Amazon.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
I think we've enjoyed this conversation, and though we've, I think, crossed half an hour more, but we've thoroughly enjoyed it. We enjoyed the interaction, and I want to thank each one of you to be with us, to be with us all the time, to share your inputs. And I want to especially thank the panelists. And today be the day that one change that we will incorporate in our lives and stick to it, not just say it, but stick to it. So thank you very much. Thank you so very much for joining us today.